Hi, Shells. 2020 has been a challenging year. I don't think anyone would argue with that. But there has been some positives, particularly in marketing. There's been a lot of opportunity for businesses to be forced to make transitions that they maybe didn't want to make before. I think it's safe to say that your digital presence has probably never been more important than it is today. And the businesses that had invested earlier in developing a strong strategic online brand, that had invested in strong tactics that were backed and underpinned by strategy, were in a far stronger position to adapt to the changes that were forced on us than the businesses that had to rush to keep up and were struggling to find a foothold quickly in a hugely competitive environment. So I wanted to share with you 6 things that I think will continue into 2021 and should be factored into your strategy. The first thing is, there might be a glimmer of hope on the COVID response front, but the world has unquestionably changed. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell reportedly said that we're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy. So the key question that we as marketers need to ask is, which consumer behaviours are here to stay? What's going to drop off and what's gone for good? Knowing these things will help us to shape strategies and forecasts that will really define our priorities and allow businesses to adapt and adjust to any new or unexpected realities that might have been created by this pandemic. The second thing that I want to talk to you about is a cookieless future. Advertising has relied so heavily on cookies to help us understand user behaviour that it is a little disconcerting to know that by early 2022, Google Chrome will stop supporting third-party cookies. This is really going to present some challenges in terms of how digital ads are tracked and targeted, and even knowledgeable marketers such as myself are a little confused by what this might mean for us in the future. So my next tip is, we have a year to find out what this means, to make new assessments and come up with new plans and priorities as to how we are going to get our hands on that absolutely valuable first-party data. Number 3 is brand advocacy. It's been everywhere in 2020, and this does look set to continue well into 2021 and beyond. As a new workforce enters the market, they are demonstrating an insatiable demand for social consciousness, and they are, as both consumers and employees, playing a hugely important role in shaping corporate culture and the wider environment that we all live in. This is compelling and inspiring brand marketers to make sure that their brands are taking meaningful and deliberate stances on social issues, which are not only important to the brand, but mostly are important to their staff, consumers, and audiences, to ensure that they are consistently and actively creating positive social change. User-generated content is my 4th thing that I want to speak to you about. Content marketing is still top dog, but one great example of content marketing is user-generated content. User-generated content is content that is generated by everyday people across the internet that brands can adopt and take in to help demonstrate their values, or to underpin their social agendas and consciousness, or to help demonstrate some human aspect of their business. UGC is so effective when it's used correctly. It's now the cornerstone of many big branded strategies, and over 86% of big brands are repurposing the content of their users to build armies of highly personalized brand advocates. I cannot underpin how important this can be and how effective it can be if it's done properly. So please, 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 marketers, think about user-generated content. It's a whole world out there. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, even LinkedIn has video and everything now. There is a world of people out there that are creating videos that you can use that help you to say something real. It's a great opportunity for people to really think about how their business impacts their audiences and what their audiences can do to demonstrate that to their networks, and give that endorsement, which is so important. You know yourself that when you get a recommendation from a friend, it holds so much more value than if you get a statistic from a brand that tells you that they are the market leaders in that field. Personal endorsement counts. User-generated content delivers that. So consider user-generated content, and if you're going to do it properly, because there's a lot of people that have started doing it, they don't commit, they try to control the content too much. It's meant to be authentic, it's meant to be raw. Leave it as it is, take what you want from it, be smart with your captions, and make sure that you're not exerting the brand over the user, because that will destroy the whole ethos of user-generated content. The fifth thing that I want to bring up today is going live. Whew, scary. I don't even like doing it, but it is the thing to do. Live video has taken off, and it is now one of the most popular forms of content on the entire internet. 1 in 5 Facebook videos are live streamed now. And in 2019 alone, internet users watched 1.1 billion hours of live video content, proving that even without a pandemic, live video was here to stay. People had embraced it. The constraints around lockdown that we've had on a global basis has only emboldened that further. It's even more important now that you think about going live if you possibly can. Live video is ranked higher on social platforms, so that's a great reason to consider it. Those brave enough to take the dive into doing live video will be rewarded, because live videos will go to the top of the results ranking in things like Instagram, Facebook, and certainly on some of the other Google platforms, because it generates a swell of traffic at one time. So really think hard about how you can bring live video into your business in 2021. It will be worth it, and it will give you a competitive edge over those who are using native video on the various platforms that they can do that on. Number 6, SEO is primed to become even more competitive than it is already. Voice search has come out of nowhere over the last year. Now 55% of households have voice-activated search functions, whether that's Alexa, Cortana, Siri, their Sky Remote, their Skybox. Lots of people are using voice to search. Currently, not many people are optimizing their SEO to include searchable, voice searchable functions. So get in there with the long tail keywords. Really think hard about how you search by your voice and create phrases and terminology that will help Google to point them to you when they need to, when you ask for it. By that, I mean, think about the differences between the concise language that you use when searching on Google, i.e. car valeters Aberdeen, versus, hey Siri, tell me where I can get a car valeter in Aberdeen, or where's my nearest car valeter in Aberdeen, or who's available to valet my car in Aberdeen today. Go through that process, work out what you might say, imagine what someone else might say and how they might phrase it, and create keywords and key phrases that will help you to capture that search result. This is even more important with the recent changes to the Google algorithm, which is now prioritizing quality of content and user experience, and this goes a long way to the user experience. If people can find you easily and then find your content easily as a result of that, that will really help. With that in mind, you also need to think about the type of content they're going to find. A lot of voice search is off screen, so therefore a video is going to be really hard for them to watch, so you may need to provide a transcript or some form of audible, maybe a audible or alternative, or some other way of people being able to engage with that piece of content when there's no screen involved. Unfortunately, the addition of voice search will demand a complete evolution of existing SEO practice and keyword strategies for most of us. Particularly the small players, when you're going up against the big SEO giants, you really need to find ways to differentiate yourself. And differentiation is absolutely the key to challenging the SEO giants. Long-tailed and niche keywords, when partnered with engaging, informative, relevant, and timely content, will be absolutely critical to gaining your Google authority and gaining the trust of the search engines to rank high. And ranking high is going to become more challenging, but it's also going to become even more important. Every year, the number of people who look at any page beyond the first page of Google is reducing. And just to put that into even greater context, the first 3 search items on the page below the ads usually garner about 70% of the attention of searchers. And after that, the final bottom 5 drop down to 30 to 20 to 10%. So you want to be as high up that page as you possibly can be, and you need to be on page 1. So keep that in mind when you're really thinking hard about your SEO, because it's gonna get difficult out there. More and more people are on the internet, more and more people are becoming internet savvy, more and more people are demanding attention, and more people are going to be competing with you in ways that you can't even begin to imagine right now. So carve your space, define your messaging, get your keywords right, and you will already be a long way ahead of the curve. So that sums up my 6 recommendations of things to keep an eye on before you do your 21-22 strategy. Hopefully they've been of some interest to you. Feel free to comment below if you wish. This is one of my first YouTube videos, and YouTube is something that I've done a lot of work with clients on in the past, but I've never really put myself out there and done it that way myself. So your support really is appreciated. If you'd like to subscribe, then please do so. The little button down here. And don't forget to click the bell as well, so that when I'm uploading content, you get notified of that. Secondly, if there's anything in particular that you'd like to see on this channel, or any particular aspects of marketing that frustrate you or confuse you, or that you'd like to have cleared up or made slightly less mysterious, please do give me a shout. I'd be delighted to try and clarify some of your thinking and try and make this whole process a bit easier for you. Marketing is a science, but it doesn't need to be complicated. So much of the marketing methodology is more complex than the actual ethos. And as a business owner, if you can start to understand why marketing is important, and you can start to understand why your client perspective or your customer perspective is so much more important than your perspective, then you will already be a long way to developing a client-centric strategy that will help to bring customers to you, rather than spending all your time chasing customers that are being chased by everyone else as well. It's all about attraction. So attraction marketing is the way forward. That's what I want to talk a lot about on this channel. But again, if there's anything in particular that is confusing, I know there's a lot of terminology out there that confuses people. I'm your gal. Give me a shout. I'll see what I can do to help. And I will hopefully see you there. Thanks for watching.